as human beings, we're nomads. We move from one place of the earth to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, throughout human history, and it will continue to be our way. And I think it's a beautiful way. My name is Desiree Venn Frederic. I will be 34 in a few days. Oh my gosh. In 6 days. And I am a world vintage curator and educator, and also the founder of Nomad Yard Collective. To say that it's attached to me is to say that, a child, is connected to its mother, like it's very much my firstborn child. And I know that some people perceive it to just be another business or a place, a space, but it is very much like this entity that is an extension of who I am, of my life journeys and my experiences, of my beliefs, of my own understandings of myself and the world around me. We are focused on incubating, emerging, and evolving businesses of the found and forged. And I define that as vintage and antique brands, goods that are found. I really do believe that these goods carry us. They carry our stories. And a space like Nomad Yard that is layered and, you could say multicultural if you choose to, but I prefer the term of the world, of the diasporas, because it reflects people from every corner of the world. It reflects, their traditions, their understandings of themselves in the world, and not necessarily who they've been told they are by, the single narratives that are written of people of the world. And so as an incubator, my intention is to support the city, and perhaps I'm doing it in a way currently, in a very grassroots way. I'm everything the city doesn't even know it needs at once. You know what I mean? I firmly believe that, and I recognize that value. Nomad Yard is located in the Union Arts Building at 411 New York Avenue Northeast. And the Union Arts Building has served as an artist incubator, a small business incubator for the past upwards of 40 years. It's privately owned, and the former owner, an artist herself, really created a space and environment that was incredibly accessible and open. And now we're threatened with displacement. A reoccurring theme in DC, of course, and a reoccurring theme around the country. The nature of what's happening in Union Arts, once again, it's not unique by any means, but it does come at a time where the entire city recognizes that it is a problem. The proposed building plan for 411 New York Avenue, currently being the Union Arts Building, is an art boutique hotel, so inspired by the artists of the building who they're picking out. The developers shared that they want to create a hotel that supports artists. So in displacing over 100 artists, they then intend to support upwards of 8 artists who will operate on the third floor, about 2,500 to 3,000 square feet of space. Within that asking or that demand, there's no agency that I have to say, no, I don't want to leave, I will not leave. I relay my personal immigration experience to this in so many ways, because that was a government telling me I could not stay, so I had to leave, and I told them no. I was born in Sierra Leone, which is a country in West Africa, and I am descendant of enslaved Africans that were in South Carolina, the Gullah-Geechee people, and also the Maroons in the hills of Jamaica. I immigrated to the States at age 7 and have lived in the metropolitan area since age 7. Interestingly enough, when I came to the States, I was supposed to return that December of '89, and my mother decided she did not want to send me back. She wanted me to stay. And therefore, she started the naturalization process so I could stay in the country legally. 2 weeks later, a civil war started in Sierra Leone. So that affected, of course, my journey, my personal journey, and obviously millions of other people and their lives and what has become of the country. But she shares with me that something told her not to send me back. And after the war started, she was just certain. She was like, this is why I didn't send you back. Fast forward, complete elementary school, complete middle school, complete high school, start college. It was when I started college that I learned that being an immigrant wasn't so cool. The full scholarship that I had earned was taken away from me, and I was told that I had to pay like $40-something thousand in like 2 weeks that I owed from the previous semester. And I effectively had to drop out of school temporarily because I didn't have that money. In 2004, I received a letter from USCIS, the United States Customs and Immigration Services, asking, no, it would have been nice if they asked. I would have told them no either way, but it would have been nice if they asked, telling me that I had 4 months to leave the country. I wrote a letter back saying that I would not leave the country because that's what felt right at the time. So I sat at the desktop in my house and I typed up a letter and mailed it in, and it didn't really go so well after that. Long story short, I spent 7 years fighting immigration. I effectively became undocumented. And that journey was really bitter, and not being able to work or travel or do anything. My grandmother died. I shared with you earlier. She died the day on your birthday on February 9th, 2010. And I remember that day. There was a blizzard actually in the area. And I remember that day and knowing as soon as I learned of her death, there was nothing I could do. I couldn't even go and bury her. She raised me for the first 7 years of my life, and I was her only granddaughter, and she was like my heartbeat. And to know that I could not go bury her, just pay my last respects, hurt. A few years later, 2013, I went for a routine immigration court hearing. I was walking out of a courtroom to exit the building with my mother, who went with me. And 2 immigration marshals, ICE officers approached me, immigration, customs and enforcement officers approached me, asked my name. I told them. And then they told me they had to take me into custody. And the only thing that could come out of my mouth was okay. I was like, okay. My mother and I really understood her love for me that day. She said, no, take me instead. And I laughed because they can't do that. They can't do that. They can't just take someone else. You can't take my place. And I was 30, and I saw my mother offer up her own body and her life for me, and I said to her, Mom, I'll be fine. They handcuff and shackle you as if you're a murderer. And I was put in solitary confinement for 2 months, which, thinking back now, I don't know how I survived it, but obviously I somehow did. The vision for Nomad Yard came while I was in solitary confinement. A correctional officer comes into the cell, tells me to pack up my things. Mind you, you're in jail, so you don't really have things. You have like a sweatshirt, a sweater, and the sweatpants they gave you. And I thought I was being released, because that would be the only thing that made sense. At least that was what my spirit hoped for, I should say. Instead of being released, they actually transferred me to another jail on the Eastern Shore. And I spent the next 4 months there. This jail housed immigration detainees exclusively, while the other jail housed criminal detainees. I've lost the element of fear. The worst thing that I ever thought could happen was to lose my freedom. I don't know how to destroy, I only know how to build. And I'm building my business, and so these are elements to that. And whether or not I'm going to leave in a few months, that's fine. In the interim, I'm going to continue building. Like, I'm not going to start packing boxes today because the battle's not over. What I am communicating is, in fact, valuable to people beyond myself. And it is, in fact, important. When I think about displacement, I think about the rights of human beings and what it means to create a space and have ownership of yourself, your body, your identity, what it means to have ownership of the square footage and the space that you choose to live out your life, the space that you choose to work and create from. And these are things that we should continue to have agency over. Like, no one should be able to tell us when and where and how. I just see the layers of this experience, and I see how it goes beyond just like someone bought a building for a couple of $1 million. I would want the takeaway to be that we need to return to focusing on the people and understanding that there's value and intrinsic value in people, and in allowing and creating spaces for all of us. And to know that if this pains me, that it pains you too. And if this brings me joy, it brings you joy, that it brings me joy as well. So it goes back to like the people, and if we really believe that we care about each other, then why aren't we supporting each other more? Why aren't we fighting for each other more?